Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond. Wait a second. I've been thriving loud my entire life. When the heck am I going to be a guest on one of these shows? Lou Diamond sounds like a motivational country singer if you ask me. Lou Diamond sounds like a fluffer at your local theater, if you know what I mean.
I don't need to teach you to be more like me. I need to teach you to be more like you.
Longtime listener and a huge fan.
Lou, I am tremendous.
And the more I'm plugged from technology and people, the more I can serve people with technology.
What you're standing for with connection, I think it's the key to everything.
You're just an amazing breath of fresh air for sure.
Lou, you're a diamond in the rough, my man.
Because for me, if I'm not living high energy, I'm surviving and I want to be thriving.
Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
I love it.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have an award-winning CEO of Formula Botanica, the online organic cosmetic formulation and business school, which has trained over 11,000 organic formulators and indie beauty entrepreneurs in 170 plus countries. I didn't even know there were 170 plus countries, which is just amazing. The fact that all of them can take this online, but that's amazing. She loves sharing her mantra of hard work, perseverance, and systemization to get the message out to more female entrepreneurs that sustainable online business success is within their reach. Thrive Loud listeners, Lorraine Dallmeier. Lorraine, how are you today?
I am great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It is wonderful to be here.
Everyone needs to know that Lorraine is speaking to me from her office. She's a little frustrated with her children because they've given her a cold, and she has this lovely, almost mint green background, which is delightful and very organic. She is very on brand, as we are here at Thrive Loud. I have more of a deeper green. We could talk about our greens all over there, but I want the listeners to hear more about you. Lorraine, this is pretty awesome, by the way. Can you give a little bit of a history of how this formulation and business school in the organic online cosmetic space came to be? Is this something that you've been doing your entire life, or how did this work?
Well, first of all, thank you. So I didn't start Formula Botanica. I was one of its first students, would you believe? Wow. So I was on maternity leave with my first son. I was sat on the sofa, feeding. And I'd had great jobs up until that point. I worked as an environmental consultant all around the world. I'd lived in the US, in Russia, Australia, the Netherlands. But I didn't like working for other people. And I was sat there on the sofa thinking, okay, I'm sleep deprived out of my mind, but this might be my ticket out of here. And I was watching the BBC's Apprentice. I'm a huge fan. It's very different to the US Apprentice, but you know, the same.
They have much better accents. I've listened carefully.
If you say so. But I was still sat there thinking, if these idiots can do it, then so can I, which is, I think, what a lot of people feel when they watch these programs. And they were making an iPhone app. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to make my own iPhone app. I told you I was sleep deprived out of my mind. So sat there with my 4-month-old baby. I thought, good, I'm going to do this. What am I going to do it on? I thought, you know what? I'm really interested in DIY beauty, making your own beauty products. Huh. So I'll do it on that. I'll make sort of a recipe book. So I did. I hired a development agency. I figured out how to make an app. I rolled it all out. And within a year, it was live in the App Store. And it did really well. It had, downloads all over the world in like over 70 countries. I got featured in several glossy magazines. Don't tell me I can't launch my own app, me and my baby. And then I thought, okay, the next stage, now I want to learn to make skincare. So I thought, okay, I'm a biologist. I understand a lot about science and anatomy. I've done some chemistry. How do I do that? I don't know how to formulate. So I thought, I'll see if there's an online course out there. And this was back in 2011, 2012. Online courses weren't really that much of a thing yet. But I found one, and it was tiny. It was just a one-woman show. And the course was pretty good. I learned a lot from it. And I started to blog. I put myself out there. I thought, right, let's write about ingredients. Let's see if I can build up a following whilst I'm designing these products to launch my brand. And I started to get a really good following, 20, 30,000 readers a month, people following me on social. Again, this was back in 2012. So we're a little bit, like 8-9 years ago. And then I thought, right, okay, I'm going to launch my own brand. And then I had another baby. So at that point, I'm in my tiny house. I have my toddler, I have my baby, and I'm sat there going, I have no space to do this. How am I going to do this? And at that point, I had the opportunity to actually buy the school I trained with. And it was teeny tiny, as I said, one woman, a couple of hundred students. And it was really sold to me as a side hustle. But I thought, you know what, this has already changed my life. I could change the lives of thousands of people here. So I went back to work after maternity leave. And they ghosted me. They stuck me in the attic. I had nothing to do. I had a great career behind me. As I said, I had high paying jobs, lots of responsibility, but the people I worked for, unfortunately, had not really planned for me coming back, despite the fact that I told them the whole way through, you better have something for me to do. So at that point, I thought, I've got to turn this into my success. So I threw myself into this tiny side hustle. Within 4 months, I'd quit my job. And here we now are 7 years later. Obviously, it's not a side hustle anymore. I now have 40 staff. We sold $5 million worth of courses last year. Amazing. As you said, we have over 10,000, over 12,000 students now, and we are global and taking over the world with formulation, which is very exciting.
So I have so many questions. By the way, what a great story and a great synopsis as well. I wanted to hit this point first. What do the students at your school take away after why are they coming to you, and what are they learning to eventually do?
Well, we teach them how to make their own beauty products using botanical ingredients. Okay. So imagine someone rocks up at our school. They've already maybe followed a DIY recipe on Pinterest or Instagram, and they're thinking, you know what, I could turn this into a business. This could be my ticket out of my 9-to-5. But then they think, hang on, how do I do that? How do I learn how to formulate my own recipes rather than following someone else's? So that's where they turn up. And at that point, we teach them how to make their own lip balms and cleansers and toners and shampoos and conditioners and lotions and you name it, serums, scrubs, the lot. And then they finish the course. It's a shame we haven't got sort of smell-o-vision on this podcast.
Smell-o-vision is something that if you invent this one, we've got $1 billion idea. But keep going, yeah.
So people create their own products and then they turn them into a brand. And we also teach them the business skills to turn their formulation into a brand. And some of our graduates stay really small and just formulate for themselves, or maybe sell it as a side hustle at markets to friends, family, and others aim for global domination. So our biggest graduates, our most successful graduates, they recently raised over $7 million in investment funding. They're in the UK, but they're now being rolled out in Sephora worldwide. They're in 1,800 targets in the US. So yeah, it's a huge range of different scopes.
So I love what you've done, because you realize that at one point it was the opportunity to potentially create the products and there was a market within that. But then you recognized that the real value was educating others how to do it. It was the old, you could teach a person to fish. They can eat for a lifetime, versus actually fishing for them and they only eat one meal. So I totally get it. That's a brilliant idea. When did the bell go off? When did the bell go off that said, aha, wait a minute, it's the school that I want? Because you kind of jumped into it. You had the opportunity to buy it. What was the thing that said, that's what I want to do?
I really enjoyed creating content. I've always been a prolific content creator. So I badgered my parents into getting the internet in 1995 when I was a geeky teenager, and no one else had the internet. I had no one to write to, I had no one to communicate with. But I taught myself how to code at a young age. I really got into blogging in 2001 already. I was already blogging and I had quite a following at that point. But I shut all of that down to enter the corporate world because I realized it was getting me into trouble. I was quite opinionated about quite a few things. So I've always been a prolific content creator. And I realized I loved putting things out into the world that helped people. And I realized that the school gave me the vehicle for that. But in the beginning, I thought it was going to be really, really niche. I thought, no one else really wants to do this. It's just a handful of people. But I have since come to realize that almost every woman around the world wants to learn how to make their own beauty products, because anyone can do this, right? You can make your own clothes. You can grow your own food. You can make your own beauty products. And the mainstream beauty industry has spent over 150 years telling us you have to be a chemist. You have to wear a white lab coat. You have to be stood in that lab to make these complex formulations. But nothing could be further from the truth. And that's why we're taking over.
So I want to double click on that a little bit, because I imagine in certain countries and certain markets, there might be certain regulations as it relates to these types of products. Is part of your school and the training showing and addressing that aspect of it? Because that's obviously a key thing that certain areas have to deal with.
Absolutely. I mean, we cover the cosmetics regulations globally. We expect our students to hit the highest standards of cosmetics regulations, which are currently in the EU. So if someone in the US enrolls with us, we'll tell them what the US regulations are, but we'll say to them, if you want to sell globally, and most of you do at some point, try and aim for these standards, which are just a little bit higher, which means you have to go through mandatory testing, which means you have to have your product safety assessed, which means you need to know that your products are safely preserved and are stable. So yes, absolutely. I mean, that is a key component to it, because otherwise we wouldn't be taken credibly. And so, yes, we cover all of that.
Lorraine, typically, how long do the courses that you offer run? What is the typical curriculum, if you would, or what is a long period of time that you actually go through on your courses?
Well, they're self-study programs, so people have the opportunity to work through them in their own pace in their own time, basically. But most people complete them in about 6 months. We have 9 different courses, I should add. So people start with the foundation one, they move on to the more advanced ones. They can specialize in different things. We, bolt on the business. I call it my Indie Beauty MBA. So you learn how to turn your formulation into a business. Some people just stay with us for life as well, because they just love it so much. We have an amazing community with people who form really firm friendships and lift each other up. But yeah, say about 6 months on average.
We're still in this lovely world of a pandemic and COVID, although there is some light at the end of the tunnel, which is good, depending on where you are. And obviously, during this past year, certain businesses thrived. Certain businesses had some trouble. Now, obviously, would you have ever imagined a global shutdown and a virtual piece? And obviously that was an opportunity probably for your business to thrive in a new direction, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I did not see that one coming, but I don't think any of us did. No, it was interesting, actually, because at the beginning, of the pandemic, I sort of thought, well, I don't know what to expect. Actually, I think we might see a downturn. I think all of us thought that. So I started to look at what I call my war chest. I'm very conservative with financial planning, so I always make sure we have a lot of financial reserves. So I went to my team and I said, we're good. No one needs to get laid off. No one needs to take a pay cut. We don't have to furlough anyone. Don't you worry. And then I went to my contractors and I said, how are you all doing? And they went, we're in a pretty bad place. We've lost all our clients overnight. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to invest because I've got all this cash sat here. And I think now's the time to use the fact that you've got some time. So let's do all these projects we've had parked for years. And then I went to the students and I said, what do you guys need? And they went, we'd like you to teach us more for free. So I went, right, team, drop what you're doing. We're going to make an extra free course for everyone and really motivate people and give them something to focus on. So that was how I went into the pandemic. I also started recruiting because I watched all these people get laid off and I was like, maybe I can finally find someone to fill that role, now that all these people are looking for jobs. So I went into it quite bullishly almost. Thinking that we would see a downturn, but thinking that I would prepare the company for when we came out of this and that we would be good in the long run. Actually, what happened was that we then grew by 85% and I could barely keep up with the growth. So I hired 25 new staff members last year.
Amazing. Wow. And that just hits home that there were so many unique things. I've been using this expression, Lorraine. It's almost as if we hit the pause button and the fast forward and rewind button at the same time, all on the player to see what would happen. We needed to look at what was going on right now, what was working. We needed to go ahead and try and make sure we had a plan going forward. And most importantly, we needed to plan for the future. And all of that hit with everyone saying, hey, I could go into this business because either my job has been taken away or I'm interested in doing this. How glad are you that you decided to take on this entrepreneurial effort as we sit here today on Thrive Loud?
Oh, gosh, what an adventure it's been. I mean, I am utterly thrilled. First of all, I don't have to work for anyone else anymore, which is awesome. Just awesome. I can't even stress that point enough. But secondly, I've been given the opportunity to change the world and to change people's lives. And our graduates come to me all the time and go, you've changed my life. 2 years ago, I was stuck in this job. You now taught me a new skill, but not just that, you taught me how to turn that skill into a business. And some of them, they're hiring staff. They're being rolled out in retailers around the world. They are setting up retail outlets. Even in COVID, I've watched some of our graduates open up physical brick and mortar shops, which is incredible to watch. And these people, they credit me, my team, my school for that. And that is humbling. So how glad am I? I am super grateful and super glad. I mean, it's been the best thing I've ever done.
You also have a podcast program. Tell us about that and what that experience has been like. For the listeners, they need to see this. She's got a better microphone than we do here at Thrive Loud. I'm a little jealous. I won't lie. But then again, I don't have a multi-million-dollar training business teaching people how to create their own organic botanical formulaic products. So that being said, understandable, you have a better microphone. So tell us how that's been, the podcast host.
So I host a podcast called Green Beauty Conversations, and I do not churn out quite as many episodes as you do. I mean, I bow down to this. You know, you were telling me before we started how many you've done. Is it 600?
Yeah, you're in the 600. We're over 600 by the time your episode comes out. Yes,
amazing. I mean, I've been sort of more modestly doing 1 or 2 a month. So, but I use it as an opportunity to put out thought leadership, right, which is quite a pretentious word when you're saying it about yourself. But I'm trying to show people that not only are we teaching, but we're also shaping the way that the beauty industry is going. And we play a key role in that. So I'm not using the podcast to teach. I'm using it to put out opinions on how we view certain things, redefining different parts of the beauty industry. And I'm getting some amazing high profile guests on there from the beauty industry as well. So it sort of complements what we're doing in terms of teaching, and it brings in a whole new audience.
Plus, Lorraine, you have this spectacular accent, which sounds wonderful. So everyone would want to listen to you at any point in time.
Thank you.
For the listeners need to know I made her blush, which either that or her cold is now kicking up again. Lorraine, I love asking guests on the program this question, and this is so perfect because you have not only been thriving as an entrepreneur, you've been helping others thrive, which means that on most days you're just surrounded by incredible onward and upward moving activities, which is just amazing and awesome. Yet we all have days when we're not quite kicking on all cylinders and we're a little off our game. Lorraine, when you have trouble thriving, who or what practice do you seek to get yourself back on the thriving track?
That's a great question. I probably do 2 things. First of all, I love playing guitar. I have played guitar all my life, so I go and chill out with that. Actually, nice. 3 things. The second thing is, as a result of Formula Botanica, we've been able to buy our dream home. We have 4 acres of land. My partner is rewilding it, turning it into this beautiful wildflower meadow, biodiversity haven. So I go and walk through that and reap all the benefits, which I haven't done anything with and I can't take any credit for. And then the third thing is I have 2 wonderful children, and there is nothing better than going to give them a big cuddle and just taking some downtime with them.
It's lovely. My children are a little older, and though, as you mentioned, the guitar, my son is passionate when he plays, and he's been playing for quite some time. It's pretty cool, actually, to see him go at it. I actually enjoy. I miss when he's not here because that sound of his acoustic guitar always used to be like, oh, I love that sound in the house. It's a really good one.
Yeah.
Just brought me back. I'm gonna have to call him later, have him play a little bit. Maybe we'll have him play on this show. That's what we'll do. Maybe we'll have the 2 of you have a jam session.
Ooh.
So. Let's do this. Let's do the admin part of the show, Lorraine. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, the websites, links, any special promos that you have too. We will put it all in the show notes, but it always gets way more engagement when they hear it directly from you.
Cool. So we're over at formulabotanica.com. We have a free online organic cosmetic formulation course that you can come and take, and I'd love it if you came and signed up. You can follow us literally on every single platform at Formula Botanica. We're most active on Instagram, Facebook, and Clubhouse now as well, which is awesome. We have our own club. We'll have to connect. And I'm at Lorraine Dallmeier on Instagram too, where I talk about running the school and all the entrepreneurial stuff I do.
Listeners listening right now to Lorraine's episode will know that the week that this episode comes out, which I can't even tell you what that is, but she'll be on Clubhouse that week because that's what we do is we bring the Thrive Loud rock stars to the stage in a special event where you get to promote it. So you'll love that opportunity, Lorraine.
Cool.
Yes. All right. Before we go down Fun Street, I had one more question. And actually, it's a 2-part question. The first is, most of the products that you cater to help women because they're women-based products. Does your school have men that feature and try to develop these products?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have lots of male graduates as well. I have to say the majority of our students are female. I'd say 90 to 95%, but I am seeing the male cohort grow quite significantly because they too want personal care products and beauty products and grooming products. So, yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking, me and my very good buddy, we are a little bit follically challenged. So I'm taking off my head, and we've been looking for something that keeps the top of our skull a little bit more moist and dry. Who knows? Maybe there's an opportunity. Second part of the question was, do you still create your own product lines that you deal, or has most of the business been focused obviously on the school?
I wish I had time to do that. Luckily, I get sent hundreds and hundreds of products from our graduates. So I can't claim to be without beauty products because I have so many that I don't know what to do with them.
Spectacular. Lorraine, you ready to go down Fun Street, even though we've been having fun this entire time?
I am. Hit me with it.
Share with the listeners what you shared with me was your all-time favorite movie.
I love Jackie Brown by Quentin Tarantino.
I must ask why this movie connects so much with you.
I've always loved the soundtrack. I don't know what it is. The moment it came out, I've always loved Tarantino's films, particularly the early ones. But yeah, that one just really, really got me for some reason. I think it was a lot to do with the music as well.
I rewatch a lot of the movies, and every single Quentin movie I've loved. It's definitely not in my top 5 of his movies. I definitely have an aggressive tint to the ones that he has, a little bit more brutal. But you are right. That soundtrack wise is probably tops. And I love the story, and it's really, she's badass too, which is just awesome. So it's really, and a very complicated, relationship in the movie, which was interesting to see him do. But I do love that movie.
It is
okay.
A great one.
We're going to do the speed round here, Lorraine. This is how this works. Look how nervous she is. Okay. I am going to ask you something, and I want the first thing that comes to your mind. And these are things that in general make you feel good, lift you up, motivate you, make you thrive. All right. First response. I'm not looking for major brain surgery here. So here we go. A song that you love to hear or that pumps you up.
I love anything by the French band Air and Jamiroquai. Huge fan. So I'm going to go with Emergency on Planet Earth.
Okay. A favorite food that's not a dessert.
Sushi.
Favorite dessert.
Sticky toffee pudding.
An activity you wish you did more of.
Running and gardening.
An activity you wish you did less of.
Working. No, I love working. I'd say, be organizing things. We need more staff and social media.
If I snap my fingers, Lorraine, and you could be anywhere in the universe, where are you?
Oh, I'd go back to Santa Cruz, California, where I spent an amazing year abroad as part of my university degree.
That is spectacular. Lorraine Dallmeier, formulaic, Formula Botanica, the wonders of editing. So excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for coming on Thrive Loud. This has been awesome. And continued success to you. I have to check out this course, and I'm definitely going to check out your podcast program as well, just to hear this voice again. So it was so much fun having you on.
Thank you so much for having me. It has been awesome talking to you.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Head on over to Spotify, Good Pods, or wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe and listen to all of our incredible episodes. Follow Lou at Thrive Loud everywhere on social media, and head on over to thriveloud.com to connect directly to Lou and learn how you and your business can thrive loud too. Thanks for listening.